2025 was a great year for Monopoly. Not only did Hasbro give us a wonderful new core entry in the series that's a brilliant return to form, but they also provided us with 3 new expansions to add a little extra excitement to your game night. So, are they fun and are they worth adding to your collection? Let's take a look. I have played all 3 of these recently, and I gotta say, it is an interesting spice to add to your game night, but each one of these adds a completely distinctive feel to the game. The free parking Jackpot expansion gives kind of a game show feel. You get an extra corner piece that includes a spinner that attaches to the board on the free parking corner. You also get a couple temporary spaces to fit over chance and community chest that give you extra spins on the prize wheel. Each player starts with 2 spin tokens that they can spend on their turn to spin the prize wheel for a chance to win free houses, jackpot money, or the ability to drive the new player piece, the Dealmobile. While driving the Dealmobile, players will be able to purchase unowned properties for free and will be immune to rent. They'll get to drive the Dealmobile until they either go to jail or another player wins it from them. Now, players will also have the opportunity to get cards that change what the outcome of their spin was or other bonuses throughout the game. I really enjoyed this expansion on the surface because a lot of cash was moving around the table, and you're more likely to have the game end with all of the properties being owned and people having to count up their net worth, as opposed to having the game end by somebody hitting bankruptcy. Now, that much I did enjoy. And I did enjoy the excitement of having the spinner. That being said, the Dealmobile, though on the surface seemed really cool, actually was the biggest game-breaking element for me. I got a hold of the Dealmobile early game one time, and because I never went to jail and none of the other players were able to win it from me, I was beating everybody by such a wide margin so quickly that I conceded so we could start over because it just wasn't fun. So beware that there are some elements in the free parking Jackpot edition that can cause so much of a skew in the power structure of the game really early on that it can make it less enjoyable. However, that being said, when everything plays together very nicely, you can have a really exciting experience where, like I said, the wheeling and dealing is nuts. Players can even opt not to collect rent when you land on their property and instead get an extra spin token. So you have plenty of opportunities to spin for that jackpot and win free houses or the opportunity to drive the Dealmobile. So it is very exciting in that way. I actually thought that it added like a game show feel to Monopoly. So it is fun. There are some issues with the balance, but Monopoly in and of itself is not a very balanced game. I mean, first off, you can make every right decision and still lose because in the end, you're at the mercy of the dice and the cards, and you have no control over that. So that being said, be warned how volatile this one can get, but it is a lot of fun. Now, moving on to the Buy Everything expansion. Now, this one, I actually thought the physical presentation was my favorite of the 3. You get a little caddy that sits in the middle of the board that has a carousel displaying the sale cards that are available for purchase. This game introduces a deck of sale cards that have different buffs that players can buy. Things like single-use abilities for relatively cheap, extra easy winning parameters for a little bit more expensive price tag, and the extra powers that are very expensive, things like buying the bank, so people have to pay you instead of the bank, and when you make a purchase, you spend the bank's money, not your own. Or one of my favorites is purchasing the number 7. Anytime somebody rolls the number 7, you decide where to send them on the game board. Now, the Buy Everything expansion involves playing the game as normal. However, when you're done rolling and moving, you then roll the buy die, and that determines whether you have the opportunity to purchase a sale card, change out which one of the 3 are on sale, or remove one from another player's collection. So as you can see, sometimes you can get a superpower that's really great, but somebody can snap it from you very quickly. So the game is always up in the air. Now, that being said, some of these superpowers, if you get them early in the game, can throw off the balance tables really quickly. I actually played a round of the Buy Anything game where it was over in 3 laps. That's the fastest game of Monopoly that I have ever played. Now, that was a very pleasant round. What was shocking to me was the first time I played the Buy Everything, I had a great time playing with the other players. The second time we played, it was a slog for everybody. It was the strangest experience, but just how the chips fell for everybody, what sale card powers they ended up getting, what type of rent they ended up paying, it just really felt rough. So again, what's interesting about these is they speed up gameplay, but sometimes you have a really fun game and sometimes you have a game that just feels so off balance that nobody really has fun. So I kept noticing that as sort of a recurring theme with these. Let's hop into the Go to Jail expansion, which originally was my least favorite, and then after having played through all of them a number of times, ended up being the one that I had a greater appreciation for. Now, the Go to Jail expansion adds expansions on each corner. The Go to Jail space serves now as Super Jail with some super corruption cards that'll be stacked next to it, and the jail space will have corruption cards stacked next to it. You will also notice that a few of the spaces will be replaced with Go to Jail spaces, so you have more opportunities to go to jail. I think it's the tax spots, because Chance and Community Chest are replaced with the Heist and the Escape dice. So if you land on Chance, you have to roll, I think that one is the Escape die, and if you score Go to Jail, you have to go to jail. If you manage to have it land on this cash changing hands icon, it means that you roll a single die and you draw that many corruption cards from the pile. So the corruption cards are something that you kind of benefit from being in jail. This is a press your luck kind of game. Basically, if you land yourself in jail, every turn that you spend in jail, you can collect 1 corruption card. But keep in mind, you're not navigating the board buying property while you're doing that. Now, you can collect a maximum of 3 corruption cards before you are forced to pay your $100 fine and leave jail. You don't have the opportunity to roll doubles and get out. So your choice is either pay $100 or hang out and collect a corruption card and see if it was worth missing your turn. Now, sometimes you can get a corruption card that allows you to send another player to Super Jail. Now, this is a really interesting dynamic. If you land yourself in Super Jail, you can stay there for a maximum of 3 turns collecting super corruption cards. However, at the end of your 3 turns to get out of jail, you're required to pay $350 to the person who sent you to Super Jail. And if you can't afford it, you have to give them all of the super corruption cards that you collected while you were incarcerated. So again, you have a really interesting risk reward system here, because if you send somebody to Super Jail, you got to be paying attention to how much money and how many properties they have, because they could come out with some powers and really come back at you. So it's very strategic in that sense. When you're doing the the Community Chest, that's a Heist die. So you roll the die and one side will send you to jail immediately. The other side pays out for a successful heist. You have a 50-50 chance, both with the Heist die and the Escape die, of a success or failure. So even though they're D6s, it's a 50-50. It's distributed 3 tiles each, which you do have to put your own stickers on the dice. And if you watched my show, you know I absolutely hate having to put stickers on my dice, but I will say, to Hasbro's credit, these are very specific custom dice, and I will say that the way that they beveled the edges, it's much easier to put the stickers on and not have them wear out or come off crooked. These were some of the easiest dice to put the stickers on, and they came out looking straight and clean. It's the biggest reason I hate putting stickers on. Is as careful as I can be, it can be very difficult to get them to look nice, and oftentimes they wear faster. The bevels will protect the stickers from making direct contact with the game board as they're being played, and served as excellent guides when applying them. So yeah, I didn't like it, but it's the nicest of something that I didn't like. Okay, that's what we're gonna say. Now, if I was to rate how to think of these, because I don't want to rate them as objectively good or bad. That's a difficult thing when we're reviewing these. Okay, so first off, free parking Jackpot is the least direct type of competition here. You're dealing mainly with all the cash. You're not really playing, I guess, gotcha stuff against other opponents as harshly as some of these other expansions. So free parking, that's one where if everybody's competitive, but they don't want to start like snapping at other players or playing things that seem very aggressive, this is the expansion for you. If you want to add a little aggression, the buy everything expansion, some of the abilities that you can buy, like owning the number 7 or owning all the properties or the houses, that's another thing. You can own all the hotels. So every time somebody buys a house or hotel, they have to pay you, not the bank. Or you can own all the properties, which means you don't actually own all the deeds, but anytime somebody pays the deed office for a property, you collect that money. So some of those are... You get those early on and they can feel pretty aggressive against other players. But again, that's more so just that what you're doing is inconveniencing the other players more. So in free parking, you're really going about your own business, and it's your level of success determines how far you go. In buy everything, your purchases affect the other players' games. So now what you're doing has much greater effect on the competition. When you go to jail, that has the most gotcha dynamic of all of them, because the corruption cards allow you to do things like snatch properties from people. One of the meanest ones is you can hold on to it and wait till somebody buys a property. The minute they buy the property, you play the card and it's yours. So you just wait for somebody to buy a property you want and go, that's mine. And that is the saltiest move you can throw on the table. Well, actually, no, it's not. There are worse. I don't want to spoil it for you. There are worse corruption cards. There are some nasty ones. You can steal properties. You can mess with people so bad. Take the money that you can make them have to pay more. There's a one where you can force them to sell you a property at half value. So the go to jail expansion with the corruption cards, they did not fail with the assignment. Like I said, at first, that was the one that I liked the least because it was so directly competitive with other players. But actually, after having played all of them a number of times, the go to jail one, I kind of like how bald-faced aggressive it is with everybody. At first, I didn't like it, and then it really grew on me. But the thing is all of these, I have like a love-hate relationship with these expansions, because Monopoly at its core is not a well-balanced game. It is specifically designed to be off balance. As soon as scores start to diverge, this game becomes brutality. And these just ratchet that up. I mean, this is the balance of power in the game shifts so much quicker when you have these expansions. But I will say, don't play with the expansions if you have anybody who's going to be upset that they can't win off the strategy. Like already when playing core Monopoly, chance has such a huge effect on the game that you can make every decision correctly. You can make every right decision and still lose. This just amplifies that. When you're playing the expansions, just do the best you can and you're along for the ride. If you do that, you're going to have a blast. But I will say there were some times where so early in the game was I trouncing the competition or vice versa that we just decided to quit and start another round because it felt so unfair that it wasn't even fun to win. So I will say that the way that these expansions throw the power balance off, I would say they are definitely best suited to a full table. Play with more players to help make these a little bit smoother of experience. I noticed that with more players on the table, the balance was a little bit better, but with fewer players on the table, it was a much more chaotic experience. So play with 4 to 6 here. 4 to 6 rather than 2 to 4, if you can with these expansions. I think they're best when served with an absolute full table. A couple critiques on build quality. The 2025 edition Monopoly comes with a brilliant vacuum-formed organizer with a clear plastic snap-on top that keeps everything nicely stowed. All of the components, including the cards, float around free in the box. So definitely get yourself at least some kind of small bag to keep the cards all together and clean so they don't get all chewed up in there. The rest of the components are relatively sturdy and there's not much to them. I mean, you either have plastic pieces that clip on over the spaces, dice, or the little cardboard pieces that slip over the corners there. The buy everything is the only exception that has that vacuum formed caddy and carousel, which are pretty well put together. And all I really needed was a little bag to hold the playing cards in there. So have a couple pouches for the playing cards. Otherwise, they're mostly going to just sit loose in the pack. They all come with nice instructions. I will say that with a caveat, the instructions on the go to jail, when they explain the escape die, when you roll the escape die, you have a 50% chance of going to jail and a 50% chance of escaping. When you escape, you then take one of the regular 6-sided die, roll it, and draw that many corruption cards. It does a bad job of explaining that in the rules because it tells you roll the escape die, and if you escape, take that many cards, take however many cards the dice say. Well, it doesn't tell you to roll the dice so that you can determine that. So they skipped some verbiage in there that made it a little bit hard to decipher the first time that I was playing. Also, some of these have kind of an odd layout to the rules where it says, go ahead and play the game, and then just one of them, I can't remember if it's buy everything or the free parking, but it says, play the game, add this stuff to the board, then play the game as normal, and just look it up as you go. And it was the most frustrating experience. Like, I still ended up going through the rules anyway, so I knew what I was doing, but just getting there going, play it, and you'll see how it all plays out. Just add this stuff and just start going. You'll figure it out. It's like, explain the rules. It's self-explanatory. So I will say I was a little frustrated with how the rules were written, but I did enjoy the extra chaos that these expansions brought to the table. Overall, it's one of those things that I think is best when brought out on a game night when you've already played Monopoly a few times and you want to try to throw something else on the table to spice it up. Kind of like throwing cheat codes on your favorite video game. You're not going to do it every night, but sometimes you just want to be able to go nuts. Quality-wise, too, the pieces that slipped onto the corners, like the spinner on free parking, or jail, or super jail, the cardboard was cut in such a way that, yes, it slipped on nicely, but then it caused this quarter-fold board to kind of sit unevenly. They didn't quite lay flat the way that they were scored to fold within these boxes, caused the cardboard stock to kind of make a little bit of like a tent shape. And so when it slid over the corners of the board sat a little bit uneven and the cards slid a bit as we were moving our pieces around. That was kind of frustrating. It was one of those minor fit and finish things that really isn't a big deal, but was just enough that it was kind of annoying and worth marking, but not anything that would deter me from trying one of these expansions. I know some people watching, like me, will be kind of annoyed by just small fit and finish stuff like that, and it's nice to know in advance. But overall, they're a fun little value. During the holiday season, I actually got a bundle that had the free parking and the buy everything expansion together with the core Monopoly. I thought that was really cool. I was only able to find Go to Jail on its own, but personally, I would say Go to Jail is definitely worth the purchase. That one ended up being my favorite. It is the one where you were the most aggressive to other players. So least aggressive to other players, more aggressive to other players, most aggressive to other players. If you keep that in mind when you're shopping for these, you can actually calibrate your game night to the type of the crowd that you're with, and you will have the most fun. So I hope this helped you get a little bit of insight as to what to expect with these expansions on Monopoly. I know when I first saw that they were making expansions, I was sitting there going, how do you expand on Monopoly? This is kind of weird. But as it turns out, they found a way to make some pretty interesting rule sets, and they did not disappoint. So thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.